Why do we lose our minds when a movie changes the story we thought we knew by heart? Today, we're talking about the explosive reactions to the 2026 adaptation of Wuthering Heights and what this cultural tug-of-war reveals about our deep emotional ownership of beloved books. Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights isn't just a novel, it's a symbol. For over 170 years, readers have poured themselves into its pages and emerged with wildly different interpretations. Is it a love story? A tragedy about class warfare? An examination of colonialism and race? A psychological portrait of abusive relationships? The answer, depending on who you ask and what decade they're reading it in, seems to be all of the above and somehow none of them at the same time. This is precisely what makes it such a fraught text to adapt. When you're working with a 19th century Gothic novel that has meant different things to different generations, you're not just translating prose into cinema. You're making a statement about what you believe the story is fundamentally about, and if what you believe contradicts what audiences have decided it's about, well, you're going to hear about it. Fennell understood this. In interviews, she repeatedly clarified that her version is intentionally a version, a specific interpretation of how the novel felt to her when she first read it at 14. That humility in framing is actually smart, but it also signals to devoted readers that major changes are coming. And for many fans, major changes feel like betrayals. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff. In Bronte's novel, Heathcliff is explicitly described as dark-skinned and racially ambiguous. His otherness, his status as an outsider, someone discriminated against and brutalized by society, is central to his character. It's not just about romance. It's about systemic cruelty. It's about colonialism. It's about why he's treated as less than human by the social hierarchy of Yorkshire. Casting a white actor in this role erases that entire thematic layer. Critics pointed this out immediately and repeatedly, and they were right to. No amount of brooding intensity or attractive sideburns can compensate for losing the racial dimension of Heathcliff's oppression. Some defenders argued that casting shouldn't be limited by historical accuracy in period pieces, but this misses the point. The novel's themes demand a specific kind of outsider status. You can't just swap that out for aesthetic reasons. Then there's Margot Robbie as Catherine. In the book, Catherine is a teenager, impulsive, selfish, and ultimately trapped by the social expectations placed on young women. Playing her as an adult woman shifts the entire emotional weight of her choices. She's no longer a girl trapped by circumstance. She's a woman actively choosing her own destruction, which is a fundamentally different story. Some viewers felt this made Catherine more sympathetic. Agency, choice, complexity. Others felt it robbed her of the tragedy that comes with being too young to understand the consequences of your own desires. Here's where things get really contentious. The novel Wuthering Heights is powered by spite, class rage, obsession, and emotional violence. It's bleak, cruel. Even the love story at its center is fundamentally destructive and toxic. Fennell's adaptation, by contrast, is sumptuous. It's sensual. It's built around erotic tension, aesthetic beauty, and the visual language of old Hollywood romance. The production design is stunning. Walls that look like skin, obsessive dollhouses within dollhouses, rain and mud, and visceral imagery. It's a film that makes destructive love look intoxicating, which raises a difficult question. Is that what the novel is? Or is that what Fennell wanted it to be? Critics on both sides have strong answers. Some argue that all that visual beauty is actually the film's way of exploring how seductive, destructive relationships can be, that the gorgeous cinematography is the point, because abuse and obsession do feel beautiful from the inside. Others counter that it softens the novel's rage, turning spite into aesthetics and reducing one of literature's most morally complex stories to a gorgeously shot dark romance. The truth, frustratingly, is that both interpretations are defensible. The film is undeniably visually stunning, but does beauty ever excuse erasure? Here's what keeps coming up in this entire debate. Should adaptations be faithful to source material, or should they be free to reimagine and reinterpret? And maybe more importantly, who gets to decide what counts as faithful? There's an inherent paradox in literary adaptation. If you stay too close to the book, critics say you're just making a visual version of something that already worked better as prose. If you take liberties, they say you're betraying the source material. You literally cannot win. And maybe that's the point. Maybe what we're really asking adaptations to do is read our minds, to translate not the novel itself, but our individual, deeply personal relationship to it. The 2026 Wuthering Heights became a battleground for this exact conflict. Some viewers felt it was a bold, stylish reinterpretation that breathed new life into a dark, dense novel. Others felt it was a shallow, surface-level approximation that cared more about aesthetics than substance. Both groups walked out of the theater feeling validated by what they saw. What's actually interesting about this controversy isn't that people disagreed about whether the film was good. It's that they disagreed about what Wuthering Heights fundamentally is. Some viewers believe fidelity to the source material is sacred. Others believe films should be allowed to be their own thing entirely. Some think casting choices carry thematic weight. Others think good casting is just good casting, regardless of racial identity. This is why literary adaptations will always be contentious. They're not just films. They're battlegrounds where we defend our most intimate relationships with the stories we love. And when someone makes a film that doesn't doesn't align with our vision, it feels personal. The 2026 Wuthering Heights is a prime example of what happens when a major filmmaker swings boldly for something utterly her own. Whether that gamble paid off depends entirely on what you believe the story was supposed to be in the first place. This is Ladies First, watching women in movies. Here, we empower women by reviewing and discussing films that highlight their stories, struggles, and achievements. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.